my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies this week on the 3rd of August with today's Monday's Musings. With one intriguing question: are we willing to start where we are, to create from this moment now? There's a big emphasis on, and now whether this is relationships or what is going on the global stage, what is going on for us individually, there's a big emphasis on everything that we've been through, everything that we have learned, everything that we've discovered. And thank you, yes, awareness is one stage of the process. Obviously it's continual throughout whatever we're creating, but it is only one aspect of the process. And as we move into the peak of the Lion's Gate on the 8/8 portal, but also entering into eclipse season, being in August with the first one on the 12th, the solar eclipse, and the new moon in Leo of all signs, we're going to be shown where we may be draining our own light by repeating things, gaining more awareness, but not actually moving forward with it. Which I smile because I can take on board myself. This weekend for me has been a humdinger. Be mindful as the months increase, as collectively we prepare ourselves to go into the 11th vibration. I share this because I'm now in this vibration because of my age. Be mindful that our ability to manifest is going to be a lot quicker. The middleman has been removed almost. The middleman being our own view of ourselves within the process of creativity. That has been removed for many. So we've been aware of things. Things may not have physically changed, but in our consciousness, thank you, they have. Our body is what needs to catch up with what has already happened. There's a lot going to be coming in about the new human. For a lot of tribes, this has been an ongoing prophecy, you know, the rainbow body. Those that have studied the moon Nike will have recognized the luminous, the homo luminous that is coming through, and we have the rainbow tribe. We have a lot of prophecies behind this evolution of the human body. And there's going to be more emphasis on that as we go into next year, because our environment is going to become a more, always has been, but become a more direct reflection of ourselves in our own awareness of it. Now, that may feel as if we're falling behind, as if we're, as if there's so much to do, as if, you know, nothing is actually physically changing. Pause this week, be with the information that's coming through and really sit with what is being asked of you. It may not be as vast as you think. There's a lot of the past getting in the way of where we currently are. An example, this weekend has been a humdinger. I would say the month leading up to my birthday, I kind of not went off the rails, but dipped my toe into what it would be like to eat more fatty food. Now there's no judgment here. This is how my body works, and it doesn't suit my body anymore. To go to bed later, to have the odd glass, to do all these things that I know deep down inside aren't actually very good for my body, based on the responses. And throughout the month, yeah, my autoimmune conditions have increased. My flaring, my pain has increased. Now, you would think that the common sense thing to do is not to do those things, but actually on a subconscious level, I've discovered a lot as a result. I've discovered, I would say, the turning point for me as a result, which culminated this weekend. Now, we're going to find this globally, collectively. There's going to be situations, probably relationships, that are reflective of the connection that we have to ourselves. But there's going to be situations, be that work, be that the relationships we're part of, where we're being shown how codependent we are to narratives that have outlived their time here in our own awareness, in our own actions, moreover. So this weekend, everything culminated, and long story short, I'd asked why I felt resistance to maintaining my own well-being, knowing that so much has changed in my life in a beautiful way in this last year alone, but how I still felt as if there was something that hadn't slotted into place, and that thing that hadn't slotted into place was my own physical health. So I asked for guidance, without recognizing that the guidance that I'm asking from, the vibration that I'm asking from, has changed. And that guidance came in quickly, swiftly, the very next day, less than 24 hours actually, leaving me bedridden all day Sunday. I'm still recovering now, bedridden with a gastro, on the Saturday I felt overwhelmed in my kidneys. I felt increased levels of cortisol in my kidneys. I felt adrenal fatigue in my kidneys. Having had experienced autoimmune scenarios for decades now, I knew this pattern. I knew why it was happening, which we can say about everything, right? We know what's happening, we know why it's happening. But I couldn't quite get out of the cycle that I found myself in. I knew it wasn't going to be something as simple as staying away from the food that made me poorly. I'd done that for a long time. So I knew it wasn't as simple as just putting boundaries in place anymore. I had to get to the bottom of why this cycle was continuing, why I was subconsciously addicted to this cycle. It needed something else. It needed a different perspective. It needed the physical. Okay, now we can try and be 5D about things as much as we like. We can try and have the higher perspective on things as much as we like. But until we can try and observe as much as we like, but until we are entrenched in a situation and feel that process moving through our body, we lack wisdom of application. Now, I'm not saying that you have to put yourself in a scenario that is bad for you, but if you do find yourself in particular examples this week that may not be of your highest interest, trust the process. What are you being shown here? So on the Sunday, I had a flush out. I had the most extreme flush out I've had in a long time, and my God, my body needed it. It needed the lower vibrations to flush what was remaining in my body out to help me be a more clear channel. Again, I'm not suggesting you put yourself in dire situations, but to look at scenarios that you may be in, that you may feel bringing up old things for you, and take it one step further. Okay, if this is repeating itself, what have you not integrated? Well, this morning, really connecting to things, I've realised that actually I see what I want as quite hard work. Even the basic things like drinking more water and eating well, I see myself as high maintenance. And I see that as high maintenance because I've sought support from people that saw themselves as high maintenance. I have sought support from people that are unable to support themselves, and that's that codependent relationship. Okay, so this week it's already started, right? It's already started as we went into Leo season with that full moon. That full moon was a humdinger. The blog was, what about us? What about united service? This week we are going to be shown where we are out of balance with the things that we're trying to create because we are focusing on the past. Whether we know that or not, we are focusing on how a relationship was, and all the wounds of that are there, and that's fine. But if they're not being shifted, they're stopping anything new coming in. So what laxative, if you will, what spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical laxative can you use to help yourself move through this now? Surrender is a big one. Sunday left me bedridden. I haven't been bedridden for decades since this first started. Okay, it really took me to the pit of it all. Okay, and this week we are going to be encouraged to go that extra mile to really look at where we are now. We can say that we've moved on from something. We can, assume a 5D position, but energetically, physically, if our body is saying the opposite, we are not in alignment. And there isn't judgment there. This isn't about being better than you are or worse than you are or higher than thou or any of that. That isn't what this is about. This is about recognizing where you may or may not be in alignment with the body that is trying to create whatever it is you're trying to manifest. So in a relationship, you may want it to be a certain way, but if energetically you're saying one thing and your body is doing another, that misalignment has no place anymore, and we're going to feel it. I spend my time encouraging people to look after themselves, and the truth of the matter is I'm lacking in that myself. So acknowledge where that balance needs to be restored. Yes, we have the Lionsgate. Yes, we have eclipse seasons, but we also have the equinox coming. balance. Next year, 2027, yes, it's an 11 master year. Yes, it's about justice. Yes, it's about intuitive high priestess wisdom type energy, but it's also about balance by looking at the reflections around us. Now, that doesn't mean that we take them on all as our own. Very egotistical way of seeing the world, that it revolves just around us. That's that real shadow side of the sun of the Leo, right? The whole world revolves around me. What can I look at in my life as an example of this? However, if something really is causing a physical reaction within you, what is that physical reaction? What is your part to play in that physical reaction? We are all in service to this higher plan, whatever that may be. So what is being asked of us? I just need some water. I just need to rest. I just need to put in practice some of the things that I speak about and recognize that the reason I haven't been is because I've thought that it was bigger than what it was. A lot of the times we hold back from what we're capable of is because we believe that something is bigger than what we are, or moreover, we're not capable, we're smaller than what we actually are. So the energy this week is encouraging us to expand, but physically. It's encouraging us to expand in alignment. It's encouraging us to expand by becoming the portal, by becoming the gate, by opening our heart, by being true and honest with where we are. Only then can we discover who we are. So anything else on that? I'm aware, obviously, well, if Instagram lets me post. Last week Instagram wouldn't let me post, it had blocked me again, so I will try my best, but yeah, okay. There is going to be more emphasis throughout the latter part of the year where the balance, and it's almost like it's not a tug of war, but where the balance needs to be restored. I will try my best to post on Instagram. If I can't, then it's not meant to be on there, and you'll have to come over to YouTube or one of the other many platforms. There are, thank you, many things that are going on in social media that we are not all aware of, many changes that need to occur. And if you are finding yourself having resistance getting out to wherever you believe you need to be, on whatever level that is, whether that's platforms, whether that's work, whether that's the dating pool, if you're finding there's resistance there, trust that resistance. Less pushing. There's a big emphasis on trying too hard. Okay, so step back. It's not about boundaries here. It's about stepping back, coming into your body, having integrated focus on where you are physically, and then applying that. So if you're finding resistance, do the best you can, and then walk away. Allow things to settle, allow things to meet you also where you are. Otherwise, what happens if we end up giving, it's not about giving or receiving more, but thank you, if we're not in balance with whatever we're creating, then all those wounds and all those times when that was the case are going to be our sole focus and emphasis. If we just come back into balance, we do what we can. And how do we do that? We feel into the body. It's very simple. We feel into the body, but not once the body has already gone into overdrive. This is really important here, being more acute with our senses, being more aware of our senses. It's okay to figure out why things are happening, but be with what's happening first. Otherwise, it's like, I see all these potentials. Oh, it's happening because of this and this and this and that. And what we've done is we've come out of the body. So be with the body first, with what is happening. 9 times out of 10, the body will then get you what you need. It will say, I'm thirsty, I need nature, I need that. Then our responsibility is to act on that. Okay, so it's one thing to talk about boundaries with the situation that we find ourselves in, but one of the biggest boundaries we need is how willing we are to act on what we actually need. So for me, sitting in front of social media for too long isn't good for my health. That's the sheer truth of it. Posting and, you know, not the short stories, I enjoy doing that, they're very creative, but posting and trying to get myself seen this way isn't actually working for me. I am more a face-to-face person, which is why things like the market and that work better for me. Acknowledging that, so when I get a block on Instagram, stop trying so hard. When you're coming up against resistance, trust that resistance. Now, I'm not saying you step back and do nothing, but if your body is firmly resisting something, start trusting it a little bit more. Start simple. The other thing that I noticed today, I have lemon water. It's not organic lemon. It's the lemon that I could get from the supermarket because I'm doing the best that I can. So don't berate yourself that things have to be a certain way in order to be worthwhile. There's, thank you, a lot of well-being has been caught up in the aesthetically pleasing look of how it should be, which includes everything being organic, everything being a certain way. Now, if you can afford that, great. If you can't, start with where you're at. The smallest steps are better than the biggest excuses. Okay, so I should quote that. This is in a Guinness glass. Cheers. But it is lemon water. Okay, so the beginning is there. I'm starting with what I have, and that's really, really important as we lead into the weeks ahead. Where are you? Get honest with that and start from there. Okay, and you may think I'm still in a very wounded place. Okay, but admitting that, being aware of that, you know, this morning I really had to acknowledge the fact that I see myself as hard work and what I want is too much. Now I can point the fingers and say that's from that person, that person, that person, but that's how I see myself. Have compassion with that. Have compassion with where you are. Have honesty with where you are. And from there, build small steps. Small steps. Otherwise, all of these grand gestures are just based on what you want. They're not based on the truth of where you are, and there's going to be a misalignment there. So I'm going to leave it there for everybody on Instagram. Cheers. Leave it there for everybody on Instagram, because even if I can post it, it's going to cut out at 20 minutes. So if you want to hear what's going on for the rest of the week through the use of the tarot, I'm also thinking about doing something collectively, looking at where we are collectively. You need to pop over to YouTube. If not, I shall see you in this short intro into the week ahead. Next week, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, there's a real, so for those of you that are on Instagram or on TikTok or that have popped over, there's a real emphasis on just not overcomplicating things, getting very clear with what is going on, getting very recognizing where your focus is. So there's so much going on. It's not that we can't be aware of all these different things, but look at the percentage of perception that is on ourselves. Okay, we can get very distracted with what's going on outside. It's not to say that it's not relevant. However, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Where are you at? Where is your head at when you're looking at something? What are you avoiding closer to home? Okay, so here first, focus here first, and then focus on things, including, again, there does seem to be quite an emphasis on relationships this week as well, and next week, including relationships. Where have we give something our all? Where has that made us feel slightly out of balance, or quite a lot out of balance, and quite martyrish in that? We can say that we've seen things for how they are and, you know, taking the higher stance and all that kind of thing, but how is our action mirroring that? I know all the reasons, and I could probably invent more reasons why I don't look after myself, but actually there comes a point where the only way to change things is to change things. To either accept things as they are, which I'm not willing to do with my health because I know there's more potential, or to change that. Okay, now obviously that's a bit more different when you're thinking about relationships or things on the global scale, because there's more than one person involved or one situation involved. However, we always start with ourselves. 9 times out of 10, things start to unravel around us anyway. Yeah, so an example, yes, an example. Using ourselves as an example would be really, really beneficial this week. Really coming back and focusing on ourselves as the example that we want to see in the world. An example, I know that if I'm talking to people about their health, now don't get me wrong, my health considering is really bloody amazing. Considering, I don't want the considering part anymore. You know, it's that settling, make do energy. I know it could be better, but for the most part I do walk my talk. However, I know that if I'm helping people with their healing and I am physically a lot more healthier than I am, people are going to believe what I say because I've embodied it. Okay, I'm going to believe more what I say because I've embodied it. If we can stand in the energy of what we're trying to achieve, get honest with where we are, look at why we're not, and then stand in the energy of what we're trying to achieve in every step we take, especially in relationships. Those around us are going to start to mirror that in their own version, and that's what's important, okay? Their own version. We are not here to be the same as each other. We're not. And, you know, we may want things to be a certain way for people or for certain things around the world, but if we could take some of that focus back on ourselves, be who we came here to be, and give other people the space and the room and the love and compassion to be what they need to be to figure out what that is to them and who they are, things will start to shift naturally. Balance is a natural thing, whether it's healing, whether it's, you know, relationships and give and take. It's a natural thing. If we can get our mind out of this whole I've done this, you need to do that 50-50 type energy, and just realize when we can feel things are out of balance and restore that in ourselves first and foremost, everything else will start to slot itself into place. And next year we're going to really feel that, because we're going into the 11th year anyway, but we're going to start to feel that because there are things that need to be harmonized in humanity. There are things that need to be harmonized in our global situations that can no longer be ignored. Okay, so all the finger pointing in the world, or this is going on and that's going on. What is going on here? What is going on here as well? So, energies this week and how to better know. We will look at the world. We will look at the world because also, yes, recognizing what is going on here is great, but what is going on around us does have an impact, and it's not about ignoring that. It's about taking responsibility for that. We cannot change everything in the world, but we can see what's going on for us as a result of everything in the world and make that change. Okay, I hear Michael Jackson. Gonna make a change. Okay, so what is going on for the world? Well, let's do a medicine wheel reading for the collective. What is going on for the world at the moment that we need to be aware of? Because there's so much going on for the world that sometimes we can get very nosy. Very nosy, not newsy. It's not from a soul place. That's the other thing. As we go into eclipse season, the soul energy is going to start coming through. So there will be things that will encourage us to decide what's important. And I can't help but smile. Encourage us to decide what's important and what direction we want to lead with now. And it is leading. It's not being led by, it's leading in. There are lots of people out there that are higher up in their field than they realise, that are now being encouraged to lead that forward in their physical actions. Okay, so as the soul takes over, going into eclipse season, as the soul starts to take over, we are going to be shown what drains us, what puts our light out, what stops us from standing in the power that we are, including our own stories, no matter how well versed they may be, no matter how observant or higher frequency they sound, we're going to be shown where they're not in alignment with what's going on with our body. Okay, so yes, looking at what's going on in the world around us, but also being aware of the change that we can make with that. And there was something else I was going to say, but it's gone. Okay, focusing on what's, thank you, yes, the nosiness, the newsiness. Are we getting involved in something because it's gossip? Are we getting involved in something because it's clickbait? Are we getting involved in something because that's what's been asked of us? Or are we getting involved in it because we're curious? Now, there's no judgment there, but acknowledge the energy that we're coming at something with, because it will change the energy that is expressed as a result. You have the Four of Bows, celebration underneath it. So let's have a look on a global level where we may be. I don't feel as if I've got enough room to fit it all in on my desk, which, yes, 100%. There's so much going on. We haven't got enough room to focus on everything that's going on because we're not being asked to. We're being asked to focus on our closest community and then send that ripple out. We're being asked to focus on what we can do things about. We're being asked to focus on the things that are being called to us, and that is different for everybody. You know, I'm not here to be as far as I'm aware, I'm not here to be very, very mainstream on social media. I am in my local community. There are people that are really mainstream on social media, the go-tos of the bigger picture. And there are people that are working in our local supermarket supplying food for us, or driving the food towards us, or people looking after their family. We all have our place, and they're all really, really important. So we're not here to focus on every aspect of noise and ignore our own. Globally, we have the King of Vessels, we have the King of Cups, but it's actually, sorry, the Knight of Vessels, the Knight of Cups. It's the eel, but it's actually upside down. And what I see is a salmon almost swimming upstream. We may find ourselves collectively in scenarios where we feel as if we're going against the grain here, where we feel as if we're trying to make a difference in a place that doesn't want that difference, because we are. We are. Okay, so remember that the patterns that are being deconstructed on a global scale go against everything intuitively we would feel. Okay, they're falling apart. So there's no good trying to fit into a process that is falling to the wayside. Let it be. Let it deconstruct itself. Stop trying to make something relevant when it isn't relevant to what you're here to offer. So an example, the world that we live in, self-care is seen as a luxury. It's also seen as a business, and it's seen as a very aesthetically pleasing, has to be a certain way. Self-care can be taking 5 minutes to yourself to sit and think, or going for that walk that your body is yearning for, or reaching for that glass of water that your body needs. Okay, so I'm very aware that we live in a world where that doesn't sell, that isn't very popular, but that is what I stand behind. So I don't want to be part of that world anyway. Why would I try and involve myself in that? So if you're the reason I share that, if you're finding yourself feeling as if you're swimming upstream, going against the grain, that resistance, stop. That's not what you offer. The Knight of Cups is the journey of the Grail. Yeah, it's the journey of connecting to the feminine within. The feminine within doesn't need forcing, pushing, abusing, sculpting into a space that she doesn't fit in. What you offer is who you are. Don't change that just to be a convenience globally, because what's convenient globally is falling apart. Stand firm in who you are. Stand firm in what you offer, and trust that your environment will slowly start to ripple that out. I can't get my words in. Interesting. When I'm talking about the global, I can't get my words in, because there is so much information trying to come through. So it is about finding your own concept here. In the space of the north, we have the Page of Arrows, we have the wren, we have that little creature that shows symbolism. In the harshest of times, here it's in the winter. So in the place of the unknown, we have the Page of Swords. We have that, what ideas are coming through when we're not trying to figure things out globally? What is trying to come in? What new is trying to come in when we're not pointing to the obvious that is dying? Choosing our focus globally is really, really important at the moment. If we want to stop going against the grain, if we want to stop moving against the changes that are happening, they are there, they are happening. They may not be the most comfortable things that we want to see, but they are calling each of us out. In the space of the East, in the new beginnings, we have the Five of Bows. Collectively, we have empowerment. I can't remember that character where he is, but he is in the UK. It's okay to see things lined out in front of us. It's okay to see what we've been handed, but what are we going to do about it? You know, it's one thing to see ancestrally what has occurred. It's one thing to see how far we have come, but what are we going to do about it? Don't negate our role here in the global. And don't get that confused with things that don't need our attention. There are things that are unraveling already on their own. To keep poking our nose into that isn't going to get us anywhere. It's actually taking us away from our direction and where it's needed. So I'm now actually being shown that maybe collective readings could be a thing for me. That would be quite interesting. We'll see where that goes. Okay, so rather than trying to rush through this reading and figure out everything that's going on so I can get on with what I would normally do, let's feel into this. If we want a new beginning here, if we want things to change, we must take the frustration that we feel and do something about it to create that change. We can see things from so many different perspectives. What are we being asked to do about it? How do we know? Wow, come back to the body, come back to the physical, come back to whether or not we feel driven, whether or not we feel ambitious, whether or not we feel passion. There's a big difference between passion and anger. Anger has the potential to be passion, it has the potential to be empowerment, but we have to work through our stuff first and fine tune that, streamline that, sift through that to get the light. Okay, and that is actually being put out because it's getting so caught up in stories. The purest version to come through is actually being put out or overshadowed by our own crap this week. So really, really looking at that on a global level. What we have collectively in the now, the place to be healed, is the Four of Vessels. It's boredom, it's apathy, it's the mundane, it's the everyday life, it's the when did applying things in everything that we do, from gardening to, you know, ceremony is everywhere, healing is everywhere, wisdom is everywhere, connection to the earth is everywhere. When did that not be enough? When did that stop being enough? When did presence stop being enough? There's this constant search for the next thing in humanity, this over consumerism, and that's moving now into the collective consciousness. We want to know the answers, we want to be prepared, we want to be ready, we want to be part of. The truth is, we will never be 100% ready. We will never be 100% prepared for something that has yet to be formed. So if we can come back emotionally to the boredom, the apathy that we may be feeling, and see it for the lack of presence that it is, then the healing and the balance will start to restore itself. Healing is a natural thing. It's balance. It's homeostasis in the human body, in the world around us. It's balance. If we can come back to the places where we may not feel in harmony and hold space for them, create space for them, make room for them, or if not, be prepared that our body, because it knows what it needs, may just do that. Just like myself being bedridden on the Sunday. It may just do that collectively, just like the earth is saying, this enough now. Stop with the over consumerism because of the boredom. Stop with the searching new things. Connect to me. Be present with me. Be in nature. Be with the emotions. Be with that wisdom that you share with the earth around you. The air is our thoughts. It makes me really emotional. Yeah, the water is our emotions. The fire is our ambition and our drive and our passion and our anger and our fear. The earth is our physical body. That is the feminine. If you really want to not have the feminine repressed, I don't mean gender, I mean creativity, I mean wisdom, intuition, particularly next year, then for the love of all that is, be with the body. We're in the magician year, and on the magician's table are all of the elements. The body is the table. Okay, so be with that. Let the earth ask you what is needed of you by being with your emotions, rather than trying to get rid of them because they're uncomfortable. Be with them. Listen to them. Listen to her voice within you. In the space of the West, in the place of Otorongo, in the turn of the wheel, in the what we need to let go of by bringing it back into the whole, we have the pole star, we have the star card. It reminds me of Aquarius going into the North Node now. We have our true North. This is what it's always been about. This week, as the soul energy takes over more, you know, we have Venus about to descend, we have a lot going on, but as the soul takes over, as we go into eclipse season, this is what it's always been about. Underneath it all, this is what it's always been about. Feel into that. So for myself, I have a few opportunities to work with animals coming up, which means the work that I do may need to be more streamlined and more compartmentalized so I can do other things. Those other things are going to be important to animals, but to myself as well, and my own heart and my own vibration. So whatever comes up this week, whatever's coming up globally, is about getting us back on track. What we're here to do, okay? How we're here to connect, what we're here to offer, not in what we do per se, but the vibration that's behind it. The earth doesn't want us to say, this is what I'm offering you, but actually I don't believe it. The earth doesn't want us to speak for her that just talks of our stories. It wants more connection. It wants deeper emotional wisdom. It wants us to see things from a different perspective now, ourselves included in our relationship with her. It wants to see empowerment that can come from the frustration that we feel. This isn't about being a victim. This isn't about this is happening and oh God, what we can do. This is, I need my children. I need my children to help me feel these things, to help be connected to these things, to help to create these change. We are part of the ecosystem here. That's what the earth wants from us. Underneath it all, we have the four bows. We have celebration. We have dancing with these fires, dancing with this creativity, dancing with this transformation, feeling that things are changing, that things have to change, that things cannot carry on the way that they are, and being honest with that, with where we are. Recognizing what is happening around us is a necessity for us to shape up, and get down to what it is we're here to do. Okay, so let's bring that down to the more individual level, and that's actually important, recognizing that we have the time to do that, recognizing that actually we must make the time to do that. We can be aware globally, but let's bring it down to the individual actions also. Make the time. Make the time. You know, there's a lot going on with interference with time, particularly in scientific spaces, and there's a lot of awareness about that, but realise that all the machines in the world are only doing what we've all been capable of. Slow down in your energy. Be in your body, physically present. Make the time. It's often seen as being inconvenient or not efficient, but actually presence, when it slows down everything, we get everything that we need in that moment. So slow it down, become more creatively efficient. Energies this week and how to best individually navigate them. Recognize your roots. Speak to the earth that you're part of, the earth that you came from. Speak to the Pachamama, the Mother Earth. So mine would be Pachamama, Portsmouth. That's where I was born. Speak to that part that you were born from. Speak to the part that you are trying to connect to send healing to. You know, there's a lot of energy being sent out there, almost cutting out the middleman of the earth. What does the earth actually need? Speak to those areas that are having fire. You know, speak to Pachamama, Spain. What is it you need me to say? What is it you need me to do? Why I'm feeling these things? What do you need of me? Speak, speak, speak. Be part of the communication here. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, underneath it all, we have the Four of Stones and the Ten of Stones. We have protection and home. I just want to show you these two cards, and the Sun of Life underneath it, the Sun card. We have protection and home here. For those that know symbolism of the deer is symbolic of the feminine, and she's needing protection. In the Four of Stones, she's needing protection. There's a big difference between protection and restriction. Okay, there's vulnerability can be really uncomfortable to witness, but it can be one of the most protective things we can do. Allowing things to be expressed, allowing the earth to express what is going on for her, to see the truth. It can be uncomfortable, but to see the truth and the cost of our actions to her, and from there to make change. You know, the deer here isn't encased. She's not restricted. She is protected by old monoliths, old ways of beings, the ancient ways, old connections here, old worships, old ways of worship. When did we stop? When did we stop worshipping the earth? You know, I mean, I do a lot of ceremony, but I know I need more time in nature. When did we stop recognizing that importance for ourselves as well? We then have the Ten of Stones. We have home. This is our home. This is our one and only home. If we want to speak about abundance, we must connect to that. Not just the earth, but her reflection in our physical body. This is our home. If you don't feel at home, why don't you feel at home in your physical body, in who you are? Yes, we can search what galaxy we come from, but What does that mean here, now, in this body? The searching of the galaxies is going to become a lot more apparent as the years go on, but the body is the foundation and the root of that. What is home to you? What does that feel like? It could be you feel that in relationships or in your career or in being in nature. Why can't we feel that in everything? What can we do to ensure that we feel that in everything? To feel at home is a state of being, okay? It is the sun of life. It is that force, that energy in our heart. Bring that. We've got 8 of stones underneath, which is skill. Bring that into everything that you do. Overall, we have the moon on the water. We have a reflective egg almost. And what I'm being shown here, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it too much, but of recent I've noticed that eating eggs over the last few decades hasn't worked for me, but also eating chicken over the last 3 to 4 months, and I'm noticing it for a lot of people. I don't eat a lot of it anyway, but it really isn't working for me. And my husband the other day said, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And he was really onto something here. What comes first? That our environment isn't working for us, or that we are no longer part of that environment? Regardless, if we know something isn't right for us, are we going to see past the illusion of seeing it just as external and take responsibility for that? This, the way that it is, isn't working. The way that this relationship is, or the way that I am rather in this relationship, isn't working. Okay, yes, it's because of X, Y, and Z. These reasons are going to come and go like the moon, like the phases of the moon. What are we actually going to do about that? What is pulling us underneath? What gives us gravity? The actions that we take as a result. On the Monday, there is a cutting through it all. We have the death card. We have the recognition of the journey, but also here that there's no more scraps left. There's no more scraps left. That even the end of a journey has an ending. That even the I'm not going to do this anymore has an ending, and that comes in the beginnings. Okay, that comes in what we're going to feast from now on. That comes in the wisdom that we have gained. What are we going to take forward? Okay, I can see this, and this, but you know what? In order for things to change, I need to change towards this also. What am I going to take forward here on the Monday? On the Tuesday, we have the 2 of stones. We have the need for balance that brings forth a challenge here. There are a lot of systems at play that are dying out around us, that are fighting. They are fighting not to die out, just like anything would, whether that's the bug that's in my stomach that's saying let me have sugar so I can carry on a little bit longer, or whether that's, you know, patriarchal ways of seeing things that are trying it in a more underhanded tactic. It doesn't matter. There are things around us that are playing themselves out, that are fighting the end, old versions of ourselves included. So let's look Tuesday individually at where we are in conflict. What does being the better version of yourself, that's not to say the version of you now isn't any good, but what does reaching your potential look like? And who would lose out with that? Not just the people around you, but the part of you that is maybe not as ready as you would like to move forward. And have some compassion. Have some compassion. If you're not sure, if you find yourself fighting the inevitable, have some compassion. Change, it is easy. It's a natural thing. But all the reasons for why we can't change or don't want to change aren't always easy. So like an example, the Moon Eye Key. When I pass on the Moon Eye Key, it's beautiful. The Moon Eye Key is love. It is the energy of love. However, sometimes we need to work through with the energy of love all the reasons that we haven't had that love. Okay, so have some compassion on the Tuesday for whatever it is you're going through. On the Wednesday, we have the 7 of Stones, healing. Growth comes in healing, not fixing, healing. Okay, being with what is occurring and allowing the process to move through you. That's where growth comes, not from shutting it off, no matter how good those boundaries might look. Now, I'm not saying that you put yourself in a situation that is negative for you, against your own comfort or your own capability, but that situation is going to come up again and again and again until you can be yourself within it. So I love the idea of soulmates. My husband is my soulmate. He is the one for me. However, everything I learn with him, I would learn with somebody else. Because I'm here to learn those things, okay? So when we have those moments that are uncomfortable, leaning into them, knowing that it's part of the healing, knowing that it's part of the process, knowing that if I don't, it's going to come up again. When you feel able to, that's the important thing, isn't it? Don't go having deep conversations when you're in the middle of a row. It's just, look, we cannot get new information in when we're in fight or flight. So the most healing thing we can do is to restore our nervous system before we then focus or look at something. Guidance, what we share, what we're asking for, what energy is behind it. Abundance, home, they're not a mindset. That's the initial part. They're not a mindset. They are a way of being. They are a way of feeling. Come back to that and then look at what needs to grow. Then look at what needs to be harvested. This week on Lamass, I was running I see where they're going now. I was running a dance sound session out in the open by the beach, and it felt really, really good to organise it. And unfortunately there were no numbers, nobody was confirming attendance, so I cancelled it. And it was on Lamass that I cancelled it, and on that day instead I spent time with my husband. I nurtured my home, I nurtured the garden, I sat with sounds, I was with myself. I made space for that because that was actually, according to the universe, more needed than making space for other people. Now, I don't like that truth. I don't like that truth. I want to get out there. I want to be part of something. I want to be part of the community. I want to be part of helping. I don't necessarily like that truth, but it's a truth that I stand behind for everybody. In order to lead, we have this belief that very patriarchal belief, that in order to lead, we need to be separate from the thing we're trying to help grow. We're not. We're part of it. We are a necessary part of it, and leadership comes from within the community, okay? And we place ourselves in there too. So I share that because on the Thursday we have the Three of Arrows, we have jealousy, we have heartbreak here, we have the great tree, the great mother, we have the ancestry, we have the tree of life, we have that separation from that. All the time we see ourselves as separate from what we are trying to achieve. All the times we see ourselves, and we do that. We put other people's needs before ourselves, and then we end up getting resentful. And we wonder why there's no balance there, there's no harmony there. We are all part of what we're trying to create, including the healthy world, including the systems that are falling down. We're going to have our own that need to fall down as well. We are not separate from these things. So on the Thursday, anything that's coming up as a result of restoring balance on the Wednesday, as a result of being with what is, as a result of seeing what's growing and what's not, and being honest with that, and recognizing why it's not growing. You know, I can get very caught up in the victim mindset of, and I did, shit, I did this weekend, you know, no matter what I do, I did. My poor husband listens to it, you know, quite a lot, and I did get caught up in that. And I went through the process because I had someone that could just listen and hold space, and I went through the process of that, and I got to the bit underneath, the truth underneath, that now needs my focus, which is myself, my own physical well-being, if I want to continue these things, and the resistance that I had to that, and why I had that resistance. It may not be that you're not here to do what you want to do or what you believe you are here to do, but just that you need to ensure you are capable of doing it. Okay, you're not separate from it. You need to start nurturing yourself within it, particularly on the Thursday. On the Friday, we then have the Hermit. We have the hooded man here. We have the ability to see beyond that tree. This is the same tree, okay? To see beyond the heartbreak, to see beyond the separation, to see the light that is going to guide us deeper within as we acknowledge ourselves upon the path of life itself, the wisdom itself. You know, we have just had the 10-year, but we did have that 9-year, and it does feel as if there were things from, so when would that be? We're in the 10-year. We haven't had finished the 10-year yet, so last year. There are things coming up from last year that need completing. There are things coming up from last year. We have that Wren from the global here. things coming up from our ancestry, things coming up, little ideas that were in the background last year that are coming up to be seen now, that haven't had the focus that they need, that are going to make themselves more evident on the Friday. On the Saturday, we then have the Devil card or the Guardian. Okay, so if we look back at the Death card on the Monday, if we look back at all the things that have ended, that are trying to transform themselves, and we look at the structures in place, the systems, the skeletal system in particular, that is showing us, you know, our knees, our hips, our back, whatever, showing us where we may not quite be in alignment. Great day, obviously great week to seek out a chiropractor or yoga or that kind of thing. But if we can look at all the aches and pains, those groans deep within our bones that hold the wisdom of the ancestors before us, if we can really feel into that for the light that is available on the Saturday, we then have the Nine of Arrows. Now, normally the Nine of Arrows can be that I don't know what to do type energy. However, here and this weekend, we could face that. We could face this continual cycle of darkness, of shadow, of not recognizing shadow for what it is as well, of, you know, bypassing bypassing with what's coming out of our mouth and not embodying that, integrating that into our actions. When we remain in the head, yes, that can protect us, that can make us not have to go into those depths of what we're really feeling. Yeah, it's the guardian type energy of the devil here, and it can become quite addictive. We can put a different spin on it, a different name on it, but if it's the same behaviors but in a different situation, it's still the same behaviors, right? There comes a point where we're encouraged to come face to face with the bones of our own truth here. What is it we haven't been looking at? And from there, turn this I don't know what to do into dedication. In this deck, it's called dedication. Turn this is what I now have gained. I'm not interested in all these different opinions. You know, this video included. I'm not interested in all these different opinions and all these different noises that are going on outside of me. What can I do about my life right now? And to recognize where any selfishness that rises as a result of that could be the shadow that stopped you from doing it. Ego plays in many ways. Okay, so it can make the obvious ego, oh, it's all about me. The not so obvious ego, it's not about me. That blog was called What About Us? Or was actually What About the US, but I'm not going to get into that. It was called What About Us, and it was about the united service that we're here to be, which means we have to recognize our place within it. Call that 3D as much as you like, call that ego driven as much as you like, but we must acknowledge our role in whatever it is we are trying to create. That's that sun of life. That's that force of life. That's that. There's a lot of emphasis on Leos, and of course it gets my goat because I'm a Leo. It's probably one of the most talked about star signs there is, with the Lionsgate and everything else. And there's a lot of opinions on what a Leo is without being a Leo. There's a lot of opinions in life without integrating the process. There's a lot being lost in the wisdom of the journey. Okay, now, and I really feel that in my throat. The shadow aspect of the Leo, it's all about me. I need recognition, I need to be seen, and Jesus has that one risen for me over the last few weeks, thankfully purged through me physically as well. The other side of the Leo, it's not about me, it's so generous, it's about everybody else. There's a fine line that can combine the two, simply by recognizing it's about everyone, ourselves included. Ourselves included. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to break it down any further because that's your part, right? Take care, and I shall see you next week.